kickstart your new year with the power of restraint. There is something that is called the power of restraint, or the principle of restraint. So that is a power. This not the miracle working power that was. This one works another kind of miracle. This one works the real miracle. The miracle that will change you. The miracle that will transform you. Not the miracle that you get without doing anything, no. But the miracle that will transform you to the image of God and to the kind of person that God wants you to be. So the power of restraint. You could use it actually to target your goals and your purpose, and you could use this power to actually accomplish the goal or the purpose that you have set before yourself. So use the power of restraint to kickstart your year and to elevate yourself and to put yourself in a place that you would like to be in this year. You know, most of the time people start new year and are hoping that things will work out the way they are planning that it will be. They're just hoping. Now, you don't just have to sit down and hope anymore. You could actually kickstart the year knowing exactly what is waiting for you. So, what is restraint? That's where we should start from today. What is the power of restraint? And where is that power coming from? Because that restraint delivers to you energy. Restraint is an energy, is a power that gives you the energy to be able to fulfill your dream. Restraint, it is the principle that empowers you and gives you the ability to be able to mobilize the reserve energy, the latent energy in you, so that you could use it to accomplish any goal and any purpose that you wish to accomplish in your life. So, how to use the power of restraints to catapult yourself into the new year. I like that one better. How to use the power of constraint to catapult yourself into the new year. To just explode into the new year. And to make your new year explosive. So, what is restraint? The power of restraint is the ability for you to be able to look inside yourself and derive the energy that is needed to restrain yourself or hold back yourself from the process of empathy, the process of entropy, from the process of degeneration. So you could use the power of restraint to hold yourself away back from entropy, back from regeneration, to limit the power of regeneration over your life, to limit the power of backwardness in your life, to limit the power of distraction in your life. I think that's the most important one. So you could use the power of restraint to guard yourself against all forms of distraction. You could use the power of restraint to protect your mind, to protect yourself from all forms of distraction. You can use the power of restraint to protect your mind from unprofitable exercises and thoughts and things that would not profit you. Also, you could use the power of restraint to guard your vision, your purpose, your goals, to protect your goals, your vision. So the power of restraint is a latent energy, power that is lying in all of us that we use sometimes, but we use restraint mainly just to deal with sin most of the time. But the form of the way I want to approach the power of restraint today is not just that you could use restraint to deal with sin, not to do bad things, but you could actually use that power, that energy that comes from the power of restraint or from restraints to actually catapult yourself into the future, to actually do what you did not imagine that you could do. You could actually use it for acceleration. You could actually use the power of restraint, not just for acceleration, but you could actually use it for productivity. You can use the power of restraint for mobility, for explosion, for increase in productivity. But you people, you students are looking at me and I'm almost feeling like stopping and explaining everything I'm saying. Maybe I'm going too far. Are you okay? Yes, sir. Okay. I hope you people on the Facebook also are fine. I hope I'm not being too philosophical here with you or too complex. So I'm just introducing you to a new concept. So the power of restraint, you could call it in the Bible, in Proverbs, it could call self-control or things like that, temperate, but this is much more than self-control and temperate. This is including temperate, it's including self-control, it's including perseverance, it's including stamina, it's including persistence, it's including, all that put together. So I would rather use the power, the word restraint for it. Combining and composing all that together. And also it's much more modern. And also it could be proven because it's much more scientific as well. So it's much more applicable for everybody. Either you're Christian, you are not Christian. And then it's applicable not just for the Christian life, not to smoke or not to drink and not to sleep around, right? It could also be used to actually accomplish stuff and to actually, make your goals come to pass, to actually use it in real life. You could actually use the power of constraint in your field, in your area of influence, in your calling. You could use it in your profession. You could use it in your aspirations in life. You could use it in your job or in your work or in your vision that you have or in your dreams. So possibilities are all out there for us. So new year, it's good that you are starting the new year with these principles. So now you are not here this morning, unfortunately, but some of you are here this morning and you got one principle that you could use to kickstart your year. Now, this is another principle that you could use to actually explode, to make your life explode through the power of constraints. So the power of constraint is the energy that we have in us that we could actually guard and direct. So it's the ability to direct the latent energy in you, to use it to limit yourself from distraction and to hold back yourself from distraction and to also hold back yourself from entropy. Now, you know what entropy is? Yeah, so entropy is the farther you go, is like energy. The farther the energy goes away from the source, the weaker it becomes, it loses energy. So the same, the further we go away from God, and that's the source of energy, right? It's the source of life. And the weaker we become, the less energy, the less life of God that we are. So that is entropy. So entropy is the natural weakness that happens to you just because you are going further and further. Just like with the children, right? With children, because they are just coming away from the source of life from their parents and from God. The children are not normally depressed. They are not, they are running about laughing and they don't have problems. But we, the older you grow, the more you go away from the beginning, from your roots, from your source. When you are 5 and when you are 15, you are 15 years away from the root, from where you started, from your source. So that the reality of the world is already consuming you more than the reality of where you're coming from. So that's what it's called entropy. You begin to be worried about one thing or the other. You begin to be sick. You begin to get depressed. You begin to be unhappy. That is what we call entropy. Now, the power of restraint could control entropy. That's what I meant, that I could, I felt like explaining everything I've been saying to you, more, so that it will be easier. So also, the more you grow and the more you are exposed to reality of what is happening in the world, the more you are distracted. At least, even if you have, at least the only one distraction, let me just mention one distraction, smartphones. But you know what will help you to deal with your smartphone and to use it more constructively for purpose instead of for vanity? Is the power of constraint. So this is so strong what we are talking about. The power of constraint is falling back to that latent energy that is in you and using it intentionally, purposefully, directing it, falling back at it and pulling it to use it to make sure that is guiding you to the goal and purpose that you yourself had originally set for yourself. So instead of you to just be losing a loose life, that is, like the wind is just blowing you left and right, because when you don't have the power of restraint, you are easily blown, tossed to and fro, and not necessarily doing bad things, but you could be thrown, and tossed to and fro, doing good things, but at the same time wasting your life. So the power of constraint is very important that you have it and you know how to use it in the new year that we are entering into right now. So the power of constraint will help you to be able to hold back from all forms of deterioration and hold you back from the power of entropy, hold you back from the power of distraction, and then help you to be able to focus all your energy to do the kind of thing that you want to do. So if you want to talk in another way, the power of constraint could be called also the ability to use boundaries, the ability to use boundaries to your benefit. The ability to use boundaries for your benefit. The ability to take advantage of boundaries and turn it to your advantage. To take a hold of boundaries and use it as a weapon. As a weapon of productivity. Boundaries. So these are powerful concepts. It's called the power of constraint. I tell you what, the most productive people in this world are the people who have discovered the power of constraint. When Bill Gates was in the university, he was actually very brilliant in high school. So he was admitted into Harvard. Harvard is the dream of every young man. For you to be admitted there after college or after high school, you must really be smart. So not after first degree, but immediately. So he was smart. But you know what he discovered? He discovered that by him going to the classes to study what he was studying, he was actually being distracted. He had such a huge force and of constraint within himself already, that his own power and force of constraint was much more stronger than the culture of constraint that the university, the Harvard, was offering him. In fact, because his own level was so much higher that he could afford to just neglect and stop going to classes and even not finish his degree. So some people will ask me, some people always ask me and say, can I stop going to, I have a calling, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Can I stop my degree? Can I stop? I said, Yes, because they always tell me, but Bill Gates, Steve, whatever, Mark Zuckerberg and others, they didn't finish university and they are doing great. I say yes, but only under certain conditions. The first condition is that these people that you are talking about, they had a high level of restraint in them. They have discovered that power of restraint. Actually, as a matter of fact, university is supposed to build into us this element of constraint. This is one of the reasons we go to universities. In fact, this is one of the reasons we go to school in general. One of the factors that one of the things that we go to achieve in schools is not just knowledge. Because most of the knowledge that you have been given in class, you don't even remember them anymore. And by the time you finish your school, it's after 6 years, you will not even remember what was there at first course, second course. You are only remembering this one for you to give exam. That's it. And once you've given the last exam, everything evaporates, believe me. So even people who are teaching you, they know that as well. But that is so the university and education, going to school, university institutions and all that, what they give you, one of the most powerful things that they are meant to give to you is not knowledge, because you could get knowledge by yourself anywhere as well. But one of the greatest things that they're supposed to give you in university and education in general is, institutions, universities or educational institutions or tertiary institutions or things like that. What the most important thing that they're supposed to give to you is to develop and call forth the power of restraint in you. That is why you must go to classes. Some of your education must be, you must show up in classes. And some of your education, you must, that is why they have in primary school, secondary school, university, you have what you call curriculum. You have what they call classes. You have what they call lectures. You have to go and listen to your lecture. You have to go and, so what is that cultivating in you? The ability for you not to do what you want. The ability for you not to follow the threats of your body or the tendencies of your body or emotions or feeling. Not for you not to just let your life be thrown at a free flow. So by the time you finish after 6 years in university, you have developed a culture of a stamina, a culture of doing things that are needed and necessary to be done, not necessarily the things that you feel like doing. So that is one thing that educational institutions are supposed to give to you that is stronger than ordinary knowledge. And that is called, they want to develop in you the ability for you to use constraints to put your life in order. They are developing in you the ability for you to have some certain degree of restraint. But people who teach you in university, they don't know that. And they don't tell you that. They just know that this is the way the program has been set up. The people who know what I'm telling you now are only people who set up educational system initially. System education altogether. So that's why, just like I used to teach some subjects here, and I tell them the reason for physics and mathematics. And you see people who finish, in fact, my friend, that is a professor of physics in America and chemistry, he said, I never understood physics and mathematics until I met Pastor Sunday. Because they don't tell them, even if it's a professor, but they're just teaching what they read and just subject. But they don't tell you why. So there are some people now in schools and primary school and secondary school, they say, I'm smart, I can just give exams. Why should I go to classes? But they don't know that it's not for exams that you go to classes. Some other people will say, but why should I go to classes? But I can read it. Is it not the same book? I can read the same book now by myself. But it's not because of the knowledge that you go to classes. Some people might even say, that professor, I even know more than himself. So why should I even go? But it's not because of the professor that you show up in classes. There is something underneath. There is something underlining that has been built into educational system. That for you to be able to say, I will not go to classes, you must make sure that you have discovered a stronger force of restraint in yourself. Stronger than what the university is trying to teach you to do. What does that mean? That means that you have a stronger ability to manage your emotions, your feelings, and the intricacies of what is happening around you, that you always would do what is right. Because of the energy and the power of restraint that you have built into yourself, so much that you never ever go wrong. That is what people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Zuckerberg and others, that's what they have discovered. They have developed in themselves the strong power of restraint. So strong that if they needed to attend, let's say 40 hours of classes, assume 40 hours of classes in a week, they have developed such a strong constraint that they don't just do 40 hours. They on their own do 80 hours of self-development, of working on themselves, of doing what is right. So why this university is demanding 40 hours, they are doing 80 hours? It's a waste of time. Because they will go and sit down there and doing nothing and just be talking. By the time they walk, by the time they travel, they are seeing those things as distractions. So each one of them going to their own garage or somewhere, you are rather go. These people have developed in themselves so much constraint that they could sit in the garage or in the underground of their house or their parents' house or in the car garage for 18 hours, 20 hours. But for normal human being and normal students, they cannot sit down in the laboratory of library for 18 hours, and they are not being taught to do that. And there are no teachers going to cross-check that. And there are no marks connected to it. There's no exam connected to it. Just by themselves. That's what's called the power of constraint. So that's what I want to tell you today. If you would discover and unleash your own force of constraint for you to be able to make yourself subjected. That is what it means. You subject your own self, your will, your wishes, your emotions, and the things going around you, you subject them to the power of the goal and vision that you want to attain. You make yourself, your desires even, and your emotions to become slave to the goals and the aspirations that you have set before yourself. So even though you yourself want to go ahead and party, or you go and go do happy birthday to some people, but because you have subjected yourself through the power of constraint, you have submitted your own self to the superiority of the vision that you have set before yourself, you could easily say no. No party, no birthday, no friend's wedding, and you are not feeling guilty for it. These are the kind of, that's what it means, the power of constraint. And that's what those people had. So even when they were having holidays in Harvard, or the whole country was having holidays, these people with high level of the power of constraint, they never have holidays. And that is one thing you will see with millionaires and billionaires. They never have holidays. When they declare national holidays and their workers are not working, it's a catastrophe for them. Because they have such a high degree of restraints already developing them. So what that means is people who are high achievers, people who we admire and we look up to, that they are successful people, they have developed in themselves such a huge force of constraint that it enables them to be able to not to behave like most of us behave. And it enables them to be able to do not the things that they want to do. They have made themselves to become servants of their own vision. And not public opinion and what people say is not as relevant to them. Because they have made their goal, whatever they want to attain, to be superior to all the pressures that are coming from friends and relatives. So when they declare public holiday everywhere else, and like New Year now, some people didn't work for a week, some people didn't work for 3 days, 4 days. But for people who have developed high level of restraints, they are locked up in some hotels or in some garages somewhere, and they are doing their thing. In fact, to them, they are even happy that there are no distractions, that they don't have to go to work or go out or do anything. And if there are people working for them, they are angry and say, why should you go? That is what the force of restraint will do for you. The force of restraint. Now, let me give you an illustration about restraint here. Where is my friend there? What's your name? Huh? Frank, come. To give example here, I'm going to use an illustration here. I need like 10 people, 5 here, 5 here. You are going to form a rope area, a corridor. Yeah, opposite each other. Down to my goal is the shelf over there. That's my goal. So 5 or maybe 10 there, 10 here. 10 this side, 10 that side. You must form a corridor so that there is, a corridor to lead me right over there. Stretch down to the what? Yeah. And hold yourself, or you can hold your hands. Each one of you, hold your hands like this. A corridor. You are forming a corridor, yeah. Yes, that's it. So this corridor that we have here, this is a wall. Right wall, left wall. So these walls, they are my restraints. This is my restraint right there. Over there is the rest of the world. Over there is the rest of the world. My family, friends, relatives, the world, the internet, everybody. But because my goal is that tall thing that is on the wall there, are you sure my voice will be getting? Show the wall. Can you see the corridor? Yeah. So that's the corridor there. So this is the corridor. Now, if without the corridor, I could be looking here and going, oh, hello, Mama Tina. Hello, Mama Tina. But because of the wall, I'm not distracting seeing Mama Tina there and Uncle John there and Uncle Samuel there and cousin Abraham there. So this is constraint. So this what I'm talking about is that you all must be able to build. And later on, towards the end, I will tell you what areas of your life you have to build constraints in. All right? So I will tell you where you must develop those constraints. But I'm just giving you the concept right now of constraint. So you must be able to surround yourself with this kind of system of constraints. Because sometimes, just to depend on the energy and the power of constraint is not enough. So sometimes it's even better to build constraints all around you. So that way, even when you don't have the willpower to fall back on your constraint, but the things that you have built around this different sphere of your life, they will guide you. So you'll be able to go and attain your goal right there. Straight, no distraction. So you are very focused. You don't see anybody, no world. This is your own world. You live in your own world. So people who build their own constraint, who live in constraint, they live in their own world. They are focused. Everybody is saying they are mad. That's why I gave you the example I gave you today. That somebody said, Pastor Stanley, what are you teaching now? You are no more a Christian. I said, yes, I'm no more. I'm no more in your group. I'm no more in your club. Since I started doing just the Christian posting on my Facebook, you know how much I have grown? I used to have 50,000 people on my Facebook. And since in 1 year, February, I started in February 2015, almost 2 years now. I have grown. You know how much people I have reached now? 250 million, 250 million people. Because I'm not doing religious thing anymore. That is 20% of the whole of Facebook, the whole population of Facebook. For you to do unprecedented things, and I'm here in this house. This house itself is a constraint, it's a system of constraint for me. It's my own prison yard. I built this for myself. So that I don't go anywhere. I don't know if they have theaters in this country or not. I am not aware. I don't know if they have cinemas in this country or not. I don't know if it's there or not. I don't know if they do parties in this country or not. I don't even know. I don't know if they do birthdays and marriages. And if you want to do your wedding, come here to me. I don't know if they do conferences anywhere or not. If you want to do your conference, come here. I have my own, everything has to be submitted. Even me myself, I'm submitted to my own constraint. Yeah. Talk less of you. Everything has to be submitted to that constraint. That is what gives you. Because you move faster this way than, okay, let's just scatter yourself anyhow. You know, block the road and scatter yourself anyhow. So if I want to now go like this, see, without any constraint, you know, I have just messed up. I'm just messed up. Sometimes I'll go this way. Sometimes I say, distractions. No constraints. Anything just throw me anywhere. I can stand here and begin to talk to this one. Or stand here and say, oh boy, no road. No pathway to get to the way I'm going to. No destination. I even forget. Sometimes you yourself forget your destination. That is when you live without the power of constraint. You yourself even forget that you are living for something on the road. It's just like you are just here, just walking around, because everybody is walking around. So you are also walking around without the power of constraint. You are lost in the whole wide world. Sometimes you have goal, you are ambitious now, and then you forgot. And then you are distracted. And then somebody invited you. And then you want to marry. Then you want to have children. Then you want to do this. Things are there, ready-made to distract you. That's why you must develop your power of constraint consciously and use it for your purpose. For the purpose for which God created you and sent you to this world. Give the Lord a round of applause. Okay, let me show you areas where you will need to build constraints around yourself and in your life. Oh, Caleb is even here. Wow, I don't see you normally here, Caleb. Pastor Caleb Asaboro. Yeah. He doesn't always, I don't see him in my live program, but he probably knows that people from all over Ukraine are here. Okay, here we go. So where and how and where should you build constraint? And then what? And then what aspect of your life must you build a system of constraint? Number one, you must build a system of constraint around let me do it this way. You must apply the power of constraint to manage your desires and aspirations. You must use the power of constraint intentionally. You must inform yourself and speak to yourself that I am not going to accept all desires that come to me. I am not going to embrace all aspirations. I am not going to just fall for anything. I am going to determine my own aspiration. And it's going to be in line with what God told me to do. So I must discover what God wants me to do and put it down as my only desire and aspiration. Every other thing, let them be somebody else's aspiration, not my own aspiration. But you must be sure of what you want to attain, and where you are going with your life, where you want to go, what you want to have with your life. Put a deadline to it. That by the time I'm 30, I want to have this goal. By the time I'm 40, I want to have this result. And these are the things that I must do before these things come. So you must be able to use the power of restraint to hold yourself back from everybody else's dreams and aspirations. You know, so many people today have the aspiration of marrying and setting up a family. You know, it is not because it's their own God. That's what God told them. You know, it's God. Not, I think many people, God never even tell anybody to marry or not to marry. There are two forces that make people to want to marry. First of all, of course, the instinct, the power of instinct that is working against them from inside them, because they want to avoid sin. So a lot of people are marrying because they don't want to sin. If they had been having an option not to sin, and they would have preferred not to marry. So, therefore, it's not your decision in that particular situation. It is sin that decided for you. Now, sin they be your determining factor. Sin is your master in that particular instance. So you didn't decide. So you did not use any constraint at all. You just submitted. You just surrender, raise your hand and say, yes, I am 30. So it's not head, don't even come near. Common sense doesn't come near at all. It's just the fact that I am 30 already, or, you know, these sexual urges are troubling me too much. And then you went and just married. And you submitted and you subjected a woman, another human being, to a lifelong something of suffering. And you are making each other suffer. One day is you will cry and fight and, you know, conflict. The next week is the other one that will fight, the woman that will fight and conflict. So you just torture each other for the next 40 years of your life. Then some of you will come and have children, and go and give birth to children that you are even adding to the suffering list. And those children are wondering, why did you, Papa, Mama, why did you even bring me to this world, self? If you are going to be complaining every day, there is no money for this, there is no money for this. So that means, did I ask you to bring you here? And so why am I the one to blame? Oh, it's because of you children. No, it's because of you children that I'm doing it. Is it my fault? That is when people didn't do their homework well. When they fall into the pressure, under the pressure of doing things that the society does. Everybody must marry at 30 or 40, so I must marry. So they don't even want us exercise their strength, or even their own decision is not involved. Another reason why people just do all kind of, I'm going to have children, I'm going to do this. Apart from the instinct, is the pressure from the society, from parents, from relatives, from this and that. So you have to go and put yourself in a lifelong prison yard called marriage. Because you want to please, you don't want people in your village to keep on talking that he's 40 and he's not married. Or she's 40 and she's not married. So you go and submit yourself into the bondage that does not even allow you to fulfill your own calling and reason why God called you into the world in the first place. But when you are using the power of restraint, you don't allow yourself to fall into situations without taking the decision yourself. You take an informed decision. So that's what I mean, that this one area where you must, you know that in our culture, if you are a millionaire, and you are not using big cars and having big house, people will be laughing at you. What kind of millionaire is Mark Zuckerberg and he's just wearing jeans and t-shirts everywhere? He's not enjoying life because he's using the power of constraint to monitor his aspirations and his desires. Even in New York, he's taking metro underground to work. Because he has decided to be in charge. It is my decision if I'm going to use Mercedes-Benz or Metro. It is my decision if I'm going to use, or I'm going to dress like a celebrity. So he has so much restraint that everything is submitted to the passion and goal. That is the kind of drive that he had during the university days. That's why he could stop the university education and go and get his goals met. So the same way he's living up to now, even after the billions are there. He is not letting go his restraints. The same thing with Bill Gates. You see him as if he's not even the richest man in the world. Because they have the restraint. So that's why they don't truncate their money. That's why they don't throw away their money all up and down. They never lose their money. But other people who didn't develop that power of restraint, they eventually lose their money. They used to be rich, they go to bankruptcy today, bankruptcy tomorrow, because they had never developed the power of restraint. So the power of restraint must be developed to monitor even your desires and aspirations. A lot of the desires that we have is just to please other people. Some of you, in fact, are going to church today because you are pleasing somebody else. So it must be an informed decision. Some of you are, doing what you are doing today just because some of you, in fact, you would like to be at home and have solitude along with God and develop yourself. But because of all the, pressure from outside, you cannot even afford to do it. So you don't have power of, over your own desires and aspirations. You are not in charge. Your relatives are in charge, your friends are in charge, the community or the environment is in charge, but not you. So that is what the power of restraint is for. The power of restraint will help you to be able to say, Pastor, I love you, but I have my priority right now. There are some people that if they miss Sunday and they tell pastor that the reason I missed Sunday is because I was on solitude praying. The pastor will say, what kind of solitude? So people will say, how can you go and find God while I'm here, where the church is supposed to be? So people have elevated church service over God himself. What solitude? And you miss Sunday service. What kind of solitude? What kind of God are you looking for where your pastor has not allowed you? So, one area where you must, but the pressure that come from people from outside, they are even little, they are even nothing compared to the pressure that comes from within us. For us not to be able to do what we would like to do. What makes us to compromise most of all are the things that we have not been able to put restraint in within ourselves. So we must be able to put restraint to all the things, the forces that are pushing us the other side and the other direction. We must be able to apply restraint so that restraint will hold us back from the entropy of doing the opposite things that are the opposite things to my vision and dreams and goals. So you must determine what you want to achieve in your life, what you want to attain. And you must submit to yourself and to God that all other things are secondary to these things. And this goal that I've set before me this new year is my priority. Every other thing is supposed to push it forward. That is what you use the power of restraint to do. To push forward the vision, the goal, the ambition, the target that you have put before yourself. And you use that same power of restraint to downplay all others and to close your ears and at all other aspirations that have been sold to you and suggested to you, both from your flesh or from your mind or from your people around you or from an environment, you put them under submission. And you use the power of, each time you want to feel the opposite, you push yourself to do what you need, what needed to be done. That is using the power of restraint to attain your goals rather than, to compromise the purpose and the goal that God has put in your heart to do. So number one thing is that you use the power of restraint, the force of restraint, to control desires and aspirations, both your own, others, apart from the main thing God wants you to do, and then those ones coming from all around you. The next thing you do, you use the power of restraint to do, is that you use the power and force of restraint to control your mind. I tell people this. Try your best never to just think on anything that comes to your mind. Put restraints in your thinking process and put strong restraints in your thinking faculty. How do you do that? The way to do that is you must determine and decide for yourself 3, not maximum 5, between 3 to 5 priorities, the only thing you are thinking about in your life. That you will never allow this your head and this your brain to entertain any thought that does not fall into that 3 or 5 category. Let's say 3 categories. You don't allow anything to come to your head that don't fall into these 3 categories. Can you imagine if you begin to live your life and the only 3 things you are thinking about every day? That is like a laser blade brace. That's like it's going to just sharp, it's called in Nigeria. It's going to be giving you sharp result. You are going to be having a laser guided result. Because can you imagine how much energy we are spending on just controlling all millions of thoughts every day? There are minimum 60,000 suggestions that come every second, 2-3 minutes to the mind of everybody. 60,000. Can you imagine if you put, because if you don't have a guide, if you don't put a restraint like that, you will just be doing something like this, so you are going to yours go and you are gone. You just sitting down like this, you don't even know what you are thinking about. Oh, you think, well, how did I even get here in the first place? Because your own head has become free flow for everything, free traffic. You know what I use to describe this for my members? I say, we all of you are condemning prostitutes who work in the brodel. Now, what is it that with prostitutes who are working in the brodel? Where is my guy here? You will forgive. You are mad. So, but we will say, let's say you are working in the brodel, right? And as a prostitute. Now, what is it that is unique or bad about people working, about someone working, a woman working as a prostitute? We condemn them, and we think she's doing a bad thing by working in the brodel as a prostitute. What is really bad about that, apart from the societal, condemnation, is that the evil of working as a prostitute is that because you have declared that you are a prostitute, you must open your legs for anybody that is passing around. Let's say this is the brother here. Anybody that is just passing across, as any human being, you don't know if it's demon possessed. You don't know if it's Shogo that is in it, or Richard that is in it, or anything. All kind of demons in that person. That person just see that this is a brother and this is a free prostitute here. She's what? That person can enter into you, and all his demons just unload them on you. So, and then because you are working in that brodel, you don't have the right to say you don't like this one. You must like by force. So you cannot even pick. You cannot even say the one you like or the one you don't like. You cannot even say you refuse. That is the horrible thing about brother prostitutes, about prostitution in general. So it means you must open your life, your intimacy, your secrecy to anyone, anybody that passes by, any passerby, any crazy. In fact, the person might be the crazy, the madman in town. As long as he has his money, you don't have any option. You will be seeing that he is a madman, no? And you will still have to open those legs. So, to be a prostitute is one of the most horrible things that will happen to a human being. And we should pity people like that. We should be pitying them. And we should be praying for them. We should be helping them. So, because anything could just enter into them. It is like snakes and scorpions entering. Not just entering to your hand, though, or into your nose, but into your most sacred of all places. Your private. And you know the way women respond when even ants or fly falls on their head. They get angry and they get irritated and panicky and anxious. But this one, she doesn't have any option. It's a horrible life. And so it's a free flow, free entrance, free use. So the door is all open door policy. That's what prostitutes are. Now listen to me. Another reality could be compared to prostitution is a man or woman that does not have a restraint system over and around his mind. So that brothel is your mind. That brothel is your mind. If you don't have a system of restraint across and around your mind, if you don't have those three things I said, 3 to 5 policy, only those things, you must have a principle. You must have policy that only these 3 or to 5 things I'm thinking about. If you don't have them, that's your brothel. Our own brothel is for physical. Your own brothel is you are carrying in your head everywhere. It's like a public house. It's like a public prostitution center. Your head, because the thought that will be coming to you, there will be some of them will be as worse as the one who will be prostitute for real, or even worse, because you didn't put a restraint system in your mind. You know what kind of thought will useless you, Thoughts will just, you even don't recognize yourself. Thank God God doesn't allow us to see thoughts. Yes. If God had allowed us to see thoughts, you don't even want to imagine what is happening to some people with thoughts. Some of them will go and commit suicide before people know. Because you are thinking they are so good. But that is what happens to people who don't have a restraint system upon their mind. So if you don't have your own, you must develop until now. You must begin to think about developing. So you have to think about 3 most important matters that you want to allow in your life. Maybe I will just tell you my own 5 things that I think about, that I allow myself to think about. Outside of these 5 things, I never allow myself. There could be exceptions, very rarely. But otherwise, I don't intentionally allow myself to think outside of these 5 things. And 5 because of who I am, because I am, But for you people who are young people, maybe 3 is enough. Number 1 thing that Pastor Sunday think about. Number 1 thing that Pastor Sunday allows himself to think about, is how to love God more. I am always thinking on daily basis. I'm always tasking myself and thinking and looking and researching how I could love God more. Number 2, how I could better serve my family and better love and serve my family. Number 3, I'm always looking for strategies, projects on how to subdue my word to the influence of the kingdom. How to promote the kingdom of God. That's my number 3. And how to make the kingdom of God rule supreme in my generation. Both in my lifetime and when I'm gone. So those are things I'm working on every single day. Those are my top 3 stuff. Number 4, my 4th topic is I'm constantly working on how I could become imitator of God. But I want so much that by the time I die, people will be confused. Who is this going? Is it Jesus or Pastor Sunday? So I'm working on that constantly, and I'm looking for a way to always work on that more. Then number 5, I'm always constantly looking for a way to serve other people, to serve humanity. All other things, either it's through politics, or it's through money, or it's through business, or it's through other things. Under each one of these things, each one of these 5, there could be 100 different topics, okay? But those are just my own, but the purpose is clear. So these things, they are my instruments of constraint. And they hold me back from all other millions and billions of topics and thoughts that are out there. So I'm always having healthy thoughts. You ask people who are around me, you could never find Pastor Sunday to say, you are talking to me and say, sorry. I never lose my thought. I never lose my focus. I never, daydream. I never don't hear what people say, unless you didn't say it clear enough. It's not because I lost or unless I'm doing something that I'm concentrated on. But I'm ever here and now. Because I don't have all kind of rubbish in my head. Everything is guarded. Everything is controlled. Everything is put under shape. So when people begin to talk about me in the newspaper or in the internet and talk some rubbish and all their lies, some people will be telling me, Pastor, are you not concerned? Or will you reply, it's not part of my, I'm sorry, it's not in my 5 denomination. So when they come to me and say, have you seen the television program they just produced? It's not in my 5 something, television. I don't even watch it. It's not in my 5 something. Have you read the article? It's not in my 5 something. Hallelujah. Have you heard what that one said? What that one said? But it's not in my 5. I don't have time for it. Sha. System of control over your mind. You might not need to have 5, but have 2 or 3. Maybe your family, God, your education, 3. Finish. All others, they come after. Then it makes you to be very focused. You don't use your mind doing rubbish. By the way, if you have not shared this message, please, everybody watching us on video on Facebook, please go ahead and share this message. You are free to share it. Go look under the video. Go look under the video and you could share this message with, for yourself, because the way for you to get a copy of this message is for you to share it. If you press the share button must be under the video. If you press that share button, then you'll be able to get a copy. A copy of it will come to your timeline. And then you could, spread it. But if you share it, I want you to also write some comments or some remarks or some, what you think about this message so that other people might be able to watch it as well. But I still want to use this opportunity to address people who were not here last night. Last night's message, people said it's probably one of the most powerful messages that have ever been preached by any human being at all in our generation. So you want to go and get that message. It's called 15 Reasons Why We Pastors Must Change Our Message in the New Year. So it's yesterday night. Go look for it on our Facebook there. If you just go to the video section, you'll be able to see it. And you want to copy that to yourself as well and share it. Okay, next area where you need to exercise restraint is you want to use the power of restraint to rule and manage your environment. You want to use the power of restraint to rule and manage over your environment. Because the Bible says that bad company can corrupt even the best of manners. What is company? That's talking about environment, surrounding. So you want to have some forces, some great restraints, some restraint systems in place for you to make sure that your environment, that you don't permit anything in your environment that you have not permitted. And you don't permit in your environment anything that does not fall into those 5 categories that you have just mentioned. You create your environment so much that your environment is only for productivity. You manage your environment so that it will only be producing things that will be able to facilitate the passion and the vision that you have placed before yourself. Your environment is always facilitating you and your movement forward. Your environment is always facilitating your productivity. Your environment is always enriching you and multiplying you. Your environment is always increasing you. So you don't allow anything into that environment. Just like I showed you with that line, with the wall that we put together there. You must put that wall around your environment. And it's not because you are not friendly. And it's not because you don't like to joke. Me, I like to joke. I like to, to be fun, to have fun and something. But you have it in your environment. That's why I say I don't know where weddings are happening. If they want want to invite me to your wedding, come here. My environment rules over. Or if I come to your wedding, then I will come there and bring my own order there. In your wedding, I'll be talking about goals and purposes. Yes, yes, yeah. Not you invite me. Are you not the one who called me to come? Are you not the one who invited me? Hey, I don't come now. Yeah, I am. I'm here, but I come the way I am with my own environment. So, dictate your environment. Manage your environment. Be the Lord of your environment. Put the surveillance over your environment. Put the management over your environment. Make sure that your environment is always productive, working for you. Make sure that your environment is always working on your behalf and facilitating your increase and growth. So that it will not be said of you that the company spoils your vision or your manner, corrupts your manner or company. Or your vision. Next point, where you need to use the power of constraint, apart from environment. You need the power of restraint to set up routines that will lead you and take you into your vision. You need the power of restraint to set up routine for yourself. What is a routine? Routines are automatic things, automatic functions, activities that you are engaging in that will automatically take you to the place that you want to go to. A set of activities that, for example, in my case, for example, I do this live broadcast twice a day. That's a routine right there. But that routine is not just some routine for nothing. No. It is setting me closer. Each one of them is taking me closer to the goal that I put before myself. So routine are the activities, set of activities that take you closer to your purpose. Another thing that I do is that I do trainings regularly, HMT like this, or other trainings regularly. Why? Those are routines that facilitate me to be able to bring to pass the goals and vision that I've set before myself. Every other thing, I don't just do things. Things I do, they're always leading to another. They are always having a goal. They are always connected to the vision. So don't just have activities in your life that you cannot even explain why you are doing it. If you are going to classrooms, it's because you know that going to the classroom will help you to get your diploma. To help you to become a medical doctor. That's why you are going there. If you are not going, if you cannot measure the result that this activity will give you at the end of the day, corresponding to your goal and vision, that's why you need restraints. And that's how many people are living. Some people have never even had this topic before. So they're just living the way it works out. You know who lives the way it works out? Grass. It just grows anywhere. Nuisance. Constitute nuisance everywhere for you. That's why they have cutlass, to get rid of them. So if you are just walking around and just fissuring anywhere you want, just like grass, people will just be stamping on you. If you don't stamp on you, they will cut cutlass on your head. You are just being wasted. That's because you have not applied the power of constraints over your environment. Some of you are just, some of you perhaps not even going to church. And there is no connection between that church they're going to or service they're going to and wherever they're going in life at all. They don't even understand. They just think, if I'm going to church, I will not go to hell. Who told you? Some of them cannot even explain to you why. Even they are bored, some of them. But they are still doing it all. A misguided life. Unexplainable activities. No activity must be unexplainable in your life. Everything must come under the power of restraint in your life. And all that must work towards those goals that you have already outlined for yourself. That is why those people you are seeing all this wall on all these walls, all these famous people, that's why they are effective. That's why we all talk about them today. But most of people who live in their generation, you don't even know what their names are. Or no, nobody remembers them. And our own, after we are gone to, only a few of us will be remembered. Those who lived and put their lives under the power of constraint. Other people have just, it's just like grass. Nobody knew that. How will you remember the grass? Billions of people are live on this planet. Oh, who remembers them? Nobody even cares. Even you are still alive now, nobody even know you are alive. Do you think that your country even know that you exist? They only know statistics. We are 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. And you might be one of them. They are not even aware of them. It's just numbers, statistics. Just statistics. 1 + 1 = 2. And the reason you have been reduced to statistic figure of speech. The reason we have been reduced to statistics and figures is just because you have not done something significant. Those who have managed their times and their lives and their time, they are a force their nation to count with them. And not just their nation, but their world also. Can you believe that this principle I'm teaching you, you want the window to be open? It's hot now? Okay, you want to open some window, a little bit of the door. Now, let me tell you what. Do you know that Pastor Sunday, Pastor Sunday that is sitting where with you, I have not left my house to travel abroad the last 8 years. In 8 years, I've not left Ukraine. I've not even left Kyiv. I've not even left my house. I only go to the church sometimes and to the court. I don't even go anywhere. But in that 8 years, I've written over 300 books. No, not 300. 200 books. In that 8 years, I've produced, in fact, I've forced my whole world, like I'm talking, to not just know that there is someone like Pastor Sunday. I made them to be dependent on me, not leaving this household. Like I said, I just told you how many people follow me on Facebook. 250 million. That is our record. Almost quarter of a billion. Not leaving this household. Because you have put everything under the power of constraint, so that you constrain every other thing, so that it only facilitates goals, intentions, purpose. Everything begins to work for you. That's why you need the power of constraint. You don't need money, you don't need influence, you don't need, create your own influence. If you have control, have managed to know how to use the power of constraint, you can create everything you need. Is it money you need? You will use the force of constraint to create it. Is it influence you need? You will use the force of constraint to create it. Is it popularity you need? You can use the force of constraint to create it. Do you know that if we are going to count how many people have watched me the last 8 months just on Facebook alone, every day, in the average, 7,000 to 10,000 people in the morning, and they have for 8 months. Millions of people. And my Facebook, like I said, there's a guy I have here in my house. It's called Joshua. He's like working full time for this. Somebody called me and said, tell me to help. The person wanted me to help him to do blog. I said, go and meet Joshua. He's my assistant. After I speaking to Joshua, the lady came back to me from Spain and said, that your Joshua is a genius. I said, what is a genius? He said, remember the genius people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, that guy is one of them. Because he is living in that same regime. Just like I am living in constrained atmosphere, constrained environment. That Joshua and even Pastor Sufficient was giving our own testimony to. Those are people that have learned the secret of living a constrained life. So are the power and force of constraints. How many have I given you points? 4. So another area where you must apply constraints is in what you do. Because time, you must apply constraint over your time. Make sure that you use the force of constraint to make sure that your every second, minute, hour, you are using it constructively. If you come to my house, in fact, parents is here. Come, parents. What is mommy doing when she's not with you? Or she's not with me, with the family, she's not busy with the family doing. What is she constantly doing from morning to night? Or hi, or am I? Talk to them. What am daddy and mommy always doing in their free time? Either we are eating or toilet, everything. The same thing we are doing. Tell them.
Well, every time, as long as I could remember, as long as they've had these devices, laptops, computers, they're always listening to something. So our house is never quiet. You can always hear either from mom's room, from dad's room, either like in the dining room, there's always somebody speaking, and you don't know whose voice it is. When you come closer, you realize that mom and dad are always listening to something. Like, I can't tell you the last time I saw my dad eating without watching and listening to something. That's like impossible to remember. So they're always improving on themselves. Whenever I see my dad in his room, he's either watching something or reading an article. Same with my mom. Whenever we're even going in a car somewhere, she's always has a video already recorded that she's watching even in the car. So my parents are always working, always improving on themselves. They're never resting, and they're always focused on those.
So you don't allow minutes to go by you without being productive. You force and compel every hour to be productive, to bring you some results. It is you who should lay a demand on it. You put a demand on time to produce for you. You put a demand on your day to produce for you. And when you are really good, you put a demand on every minute to produce something for you. And that's the power of constraint. Thank you, Perez. So use the power and force of constraints over time to dominate time. Just like God told us, have dominion over. I just remember something and my heart just breaks. Each time I try to watch Nigerian television, my heart just breaks. Either they are doing entertainment, RB or what they call it. R what? R&B. Either they are doing R&B everywhere. Everybody just having fun. Everybody just having a good time. The whole country. And then you are talking about economic recession. What else do you expect? When your life is all about jumping around and just having fun and being high, of course, you are going to have economic depression. Because nobody is producing. And then, either they are having that R and what? R and B everywhere. Or they are arguing. They are just arguing. They are just talking. Everybody just arguing. They are not converting time into products. Days pass like that, hours pass like that, months pass, years pass. They are not converting anything. They don't apply the force and power of restraint to work for them and to benefit them. And the same thing people do in churches. So you go to church, this is the day for 3 hours. Lives have just been wasted. Everybody is helping everybody to kill life. Church is helping people to kill time. Television is helping people to kill time. And though that is life, they are killing, you say. And then they will be going to church. Those pastors will be preaching the same thing. And they will say, Rema, there is this, I didn't see that way before. But nothing to help you be productive. Repeating, everybody just repeating with their own grammar and their own emotion different, and different suits all the time. But instead of using that to convert time into something tangible for the kingdom of God. So you must be determined to be different. You must be determined to be different. You must take charge of your life. And be determined that you will leave your record. You will leave your memory in the sand of times. You will leave your own footprint in the sand of times. That you will not just live like that. And everything depends on how much you succeeded in converting time. And only the power of constraint will help you to be able to do that. In fact, I even have an impression in Africa that if you are going to subdue time by always reading or self-developing, they will say maybe somebody have wanted you to go crazy. They might even think that you have lost interest in life, that you are the one not living. But on the other hand, you are the one living. They will think you are not enjoying, but you are the one really enjoying. Because you are making, sense of life. It's sad. The next area where you must apply the power and force of restraint is in responding to calls from people, interferences, telephone, messages, mails. Make sure you organize these things. Like, for example, I reply my letters once or twice a week. That's it. And I personally I don't use telephone so much. I got rid of telephone. I don't have telephone again. I use Skype, but I only use them constructively. For people and with people who are facilitating my direction, my goals. So make sure that you use restraint to manage all distractions from friends and visitors and calls and all those things. Devices, all this smartphone and planchette and Facebook and all things that are not healthy and are not facilitating your goal and to move faster to your goal and purpose. Reduce them. Use the power of restraint to put them under control, and just do things that are moving you closer to where you intend to be. Next point. I don't know how to say this, but at least I will say this to those watching me on Skype. Use the power of restraint to learn to say no especially in regards to your church activities. If a church is demanding that you have to come to church every day of the week, make you use your head, though. You know, that's what I heard these days. That pastors would intentionally put activities like every day of the week. How could you do that? In fact, I even heard that right now, all over Nigeria and everywhere, that people are coming to church for 3 months. They tell their members, you have to come every day from November, December, January. And in some places, December, January, February. You must be in church by all means. And then when you come, you must come with offering. I said, my God, though. And these people are so God-fearing that they think if they disobey, they will disobey God. Because then they tell them you will miss your blessing for the new year. Yes, that you will not get it, whatever anointing the man was bringing. So that's why I just want to make sure, put this in. You need moral courage. And you need this power and force of restraint to be able to say, no, I put myself back. If I need to go to church, I go to church maybe once or twice a week. And if I have money, that's it. If I don't have money, I don't bring money every day. In fact, some people are having services 2-3 times a day, and you must bring an offering for those 2-3 times a day. Exploitation. So anyway, this is the world. This is the way the world is. And it's not just church world. It's all the world around us. Everybody is fighting for you to exploit you, to take dominion of you, to take advantage of you. If you don't take control and take charge over your own life, that is what the whole world is looking for. Looking for people who are free, who are too gullible to take control of their own lives, so that they will manage your life for you. But they will manage it the way they want for their own goals and purposes only. And you just jeopardize your destiny. And you will be thinking you are faithful to God or faithful to man of God or faithful to something. But your vision and your purpose in life is paramount. It's more important than any other person's project. But you need the power of constraint to be able to do that. How many have I given you? 7? 7, right? Okay, the last one. Make sure you have time to rest or a recreational time for yourself, but learn to use your creational time or vacation time to be productive as well. Even though you are resting, even though you are partying or whatever you are doing, you could still make it to be a creative time, to still work for your good, to still work for your purpose, towards your purpose and goals. So even when you are relaxed and when you are resting and when you are playing or when you are doing hobby or something, find a way, find creative way to grow at that time, to listen at that time, or to exhort other people at that time, or to be exhorted at that time, or to disciple. Okay, for example, I met this new year, for example, I was talking to one of my members, and I was saying, what are you doing in the new year? Oh, she said, oh, I am meeting with my team. We have a whole set of programs that we put together. This day we are going to the cinema together to watch some documentaries, and then we are coming together after that. We are going to do a big banquet, and going to discuss what we saw and how we could use that to accomplish our goal. Is that not beautiful? The other one, he said, okay, oh, we are going to the camp. We are going to some, whatever they call it, bowling. So we are going to do teamwork in doing bowling, and after that we are using that to bound as bounded. You see. Then the next day we are going to have night vigil together, but night vigil with eating and also praying and eating, so that we'll be able to present to God our plans for the next year, and when we are going to sit down and brainstorm and pray over it, and that's their night vigil. Is that not beautiful? So use your creational time, your off time, your rest time to facilitate your movement to your goals as well. Let's give the Lord a round of applause. So propel your life, catapult your life forward in this new year with the power of restraints.